All right, we'll give it a moment to get going. Everyone comfy?
As comfy as we're going to get.
Shows me that we are live right now.
We are. So we want to give a good welcome and hello to everyone that's catching us on the replay, and welcome everyone who's jumping on to our meeting right here of Extraordinary Minds. I want to introduce myself. I'm Stephanie Bohart, the Director of Business Success for Revolution Mortgage. And I have the honor to introduce this great panel of experts that is going to be kind of talking you through what is going on in our economy, real estate, construction, and some tips on law that we have going on right now. So I'm going to get started right away. But what I want to do is mention, if you have any comments or questions or anything, please just drop them in the comments below and we will try to get them answered as we go through this today. If not, we will jump back on and re-answer everything later on today. But I'm going to get started with, of course, the best team in mortgage today from Revolution Mortgage. Branch manager, we have Richard Bischoff, who's leading our team with extraordinary numbers since we opened here in October of 2019. Also from Revolution Mortgage is loan officer Cole Williams. He is the #1 producer in all of Revolution Mortgage so far in 2020. So hello, guys. Then joining us, we have Jason Ellis, who is a broker with over 20 years of real estate under his belt. He's the owner of JTE Real Estate. Welcome, Jason. Next, we've got Ken Corbett, attorney and owner of Corbett Law, offering many areas of practice, including residential and commercial real estate. Hey, Ken.
Morning.
And then moving on from CRG Real Estate and Construction Design Company, we have the lovely Rainbow Russell, their sales manager and ISA team manager, and Preston Geiken, founder and managing partner of CRG. Hey, guys. And our final guest today, we have the honor to be joined by John Sheplack, who is a national coach, author, and speaker. And we're really excited to get his insight on what he's seeing nationwide. Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
Awesome.
Good.
All right, so we're gonna kind of get started right here. And everyone kind of wanting to figure out what is going on in real estate right now and what's everyone seeing from their buyers and sellers. And Jason, I wanted to keep this up to you because you handle a lot of listings here in our local area. What are you hearing from your clients?
Well, so most of the clients that I've actually got right now, they're all primary residents. So I mean, that's really not changed that much. Actually, I've got several people that are trying to push closings up. They're trying to get in their properties because of not just all the uncertainty with are there going to be shutdowns? Are they going to so they're concerned about actually being able to close on the property. Out of the contracts that I've been working on, I've only lost one, and those people actually already had a home. And the contract was contingent anyway, so they just actually pulled out and just said, we're going to stay where we are and we'll figure out after this all happens. But I've spoken with several other people that kind of focus on the second home market, and they've seen a considerable slowdown. They've seen some falling out. So it seems to be more of a need versus the discretionary purchase. You're seeing it definitely slow down for sure.
Hey, John, will you touch on this? I mean, you've got clients nationwide that you work with, and you coach a lot of these real estate agents. What are they telling you?
And actually, just for a scope, in a typical week for me can go from Vancouver, British Columbia to Calgary to Edmonton to Toronto to Jacksonville to Myrtle Beach to New York, literally Seattle, San Diego, Los Angeles, Vegas. So I have all the different spaces and places to it. So here is, first of all, and it's not a general, it's very, here's the truth to it, is A, there are people pausing, understandably. B, there are people still buying. And I'm talking about in some of the hardest hit, unfortunately, marketplaces. So you've got people pausing, you've got people buying, you've got people selling, you've got people still closing. Like he'd shared, that urgency. Hey, let's just get this closed. I want to get settled in. I want to get some settling in what is an uncertain time. And then, interesting, and it's the communication that it's the experience that people are having. And then as I work with top teams, top broker owners, large real estate companies, is just having them communicate back and mirror back to the consumer what they're hearing instead of selling, by the way, but that's a whole other part to it, is that then you've got another group. So you've got people buying, people selling, people pause, people closing. You have then another group of people that are refinancing that maybe didn't take advantage and get that lower house payment. Financially, they're sitting good, but they just need to get that lower payment. They were behind the curve a little bit on it, but it's still good for them. You have a second group that are doing some refinancing, pulled some cash out just to have a little cushion, in case. And you've got a third group that's, they're going all in. Hey, listen, I want a bunch of cash. There might be some investment opportunities. Here is what's interesting. In 31 years in the business, and going back to a time, I'm originally from Seattle, when Boeing made some shifts, moved some plants out to Chicago, I think it was. The billboards in Seattle said way back then, will the last person that leaves Seattle please turn out the lights? So I've seen that. I've been through the .com .bomb. I was an operator in the Bay Area when that happened, 08 and 9/11. But here's what I'd share with you, and it's the same thing to communicate to the consumer, is this. Things are changing and have changed, but they're really all the same. And here's what the same is. We always have circumstances. We have a circumstance of 70% interest. We have a circumstance of 10% interest. We have a circumstance, and never discounting any of the circumstances. We have a circumstance of 9/11. We have the 08-09. But at the end of the day, no matter the circumstance, which people measure, everyone is still making decisions based on their needs. Period. We're seeing agents, and we all know this, there's the cliche of the greatest amount of wealth is transferred in these times. Well, I think the greatest amount of brilliance is discovered in these times because people are having to innovate. And when that brilliance and fast, responsible action happens, see, it's the quick movers responsible, having a clarity of where you're at. Like, for example, a lot of the agents are discovering ways, California's locked down, National Guard, Washington State locked down. And I'm not trying to make it extreme. It's just what I know and having clients there. And some of the things that they're doing and using technology coming forward, say, hey, listen, we had to innovate beyond, and these are people that were already innovators. Preston knows very well. He's in the same mastermind group as these high performers. They're innovating, getting results. And what they're finding is these are things, holy smokes, we should carry through and should have been doing. The final piece I'll share with you too is natural. You need to look at being fiscally responsible through these times. And y'all know this, great business minds. Imagine how many people are finding money that are like, I was spending money on that. So, there's this discovery process, there's this enlightenment, but you know what it comes back to, and I know there's a lot of people on here with a ton of experience. It's all back to the basics. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, just that human to human connection and kind of getting things going. And I had the honor of talking to John on Friday, and that was what it was, is that human to human, reach out, try to make those connections, and then that will carry you through once this is over, that you have connected to them. So John, you touched on billboards.
Let me share one thing quick too, because I know that there's so many, but I want to tell you guys this, because just so you know from it, and maybe you guys are aware of this and everyone else too, the best script and dialogue and objection handler is not a script dialogue objection handler. How are you? How is your family? How can we support you? It's unbelievable. Like thousands of calls outbound, and people are going, why were we talking to people the other way all those years? So I just want to make sure and take that to everyone, from the trenches of what's really working for people.
Well, I love that. It's so fundamental and it's so basic, but you forget about that. You think, okay, how do I need to call this person or ask this person? But it's just stripping it all down and truly being human contact. So you touched on this a little bit, and I wanted to just kind of give you another moment to speak, and then we'll get everyone else's comment. But how does this change what we do in our marketing?
So it's, and we all know this, the old principles, this comes back to what I've been sharing with people today and every day, is that things have changed, but they're really the same. And so we go back to the principles of enter the conversation going on in your avatar, your audience's head, meet them where they're at. Okay, well, where are we? Well, we know right now we're in coronavirus. So that doesn't mean a coronavirus expert. It goes back to, as I work with entrepreneurs outside the real estate business that want to do a startup business. Okay, first you need to find a problem people have for your business to thrive, you know, a startup business. And it's the same, it's congruent with someone who's in business today too, okay, that has a business operating. What's the problem? What's the solution? So coronavirus is the problem, okay, that's going on. What's the solution? So an example is that, so what are the issues? Local businesses, you've got unemployment situation, you've got mortgage and things like that. Be the resource to all of those things. What we're doing is people are going out, and I've seen a couple things where people have an actual coronavirus information page on their website, and it's awesome. So you've got a section for homeowners where you can look up your loan, you can look up the Fannie Mae options, the Freddie Mac options, and then you've got the employee options, the employee section. So you can look up the government programs, there are links. And then you've got the local business one where people can go and look up the different various loans. So be the information portal, be the solution to the #1 problem people have, so you can make those deep psychological and emotional bonds. So if you're an attorney, if you're a loan officer, you've made that emotional deposit, you're the bridge there, and then naturally the real estate or law or mortgage or escrow, that conversation comes up. What you do then is you marry that with your videos that you're putting out right now. It can't be the video, it's the rates are amazing and you should buy or sell. And people are going to say, you're not a winner. It is, right? It's a message of, hey, I know local businesses have some concerns. Here's what we're doing. Here's a resource. Go to our website. Hey, I know people are worried about their rent. Here's this. We want to support the community. I'll share with you guys one other guy, and I had a group of people, and he took the action. So here's another thing of meeting people where they're at right now. That's who wins, right? They know each and every one of you in your marketplaces what you do. The people that are watching and listening. But here's the issue. Okay, now there's food, this and that. Well, guess what? There's takeout. Watch this one has been a home run. So real estate agents going in front of the local restaurants that have takeout every night. Now they get it right off their dinner legally, I think, if we have an accountant person in here. They're going out there with their takeout in their bag and they're promoting the local business, which is beautiful. People love that. And they're letting people know of a solution of a place where they can get food and takeout and how safe it is. That's the marketing that's winning right now, period.
Yeah, I agree with that. We've been doing a little bit of that, and it's just showcasing other businesses and helping each other, and just back to stripping it all down. Preston, what would you like to say?
Raise my hand. I think people need to be careful right now in their marketing as well. I've seen, and I'm sure John's seen it as well. I've seen some really bad marketing. I've seen people use, what's going on right now to recruit. Are you worried about your job with COVID going on? Move to this real estate agency type scenarios out there. And, I think with more so anytime, I never really post much about about religion or political views, but I'd be very careful choosing one side or the other, whether you believe everybody should stay at home or you believe everybody should still be at work. I would just be careful because people pay attention to social media. I mean, if you're, whatever you're sharing, don't think that person that's, buying a house from you or getting, calling you about a mortgage is checking you out on social before they send you, their social security number and their financial information. I mean, the last thing you want to do is send somebody that's, it seems a little loose cannon, that type of information. So with marketing with us, with Sarah, who's done a great job, Sarah Moniz at CRG, our marketing has changed to being more helpful. So we're not putting sales information out there. She sent out a newsletter last week that was basically, we're here for you, but then she had a link to download a coloring book for kids, so things like that. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. And, John and I spoke about this 2 weeks ago about how, we need to change and just reach out to people, see how they're doing, and then let them ask us about our business. don't even bring up our business. Just call from a standpoint of, hey, how you're doing, how's your family? How are you coping with everything? And then let them ask you about, hey, what's real estate doing? Or, hey, is there any great deals out there? Let them bring that up instead of throwing that in their face. That's it. I'm done.
That's great. Rainbow?
I was going to say we're on the phone quite a bit and I help call on our leads, and to just kind of piggyback on both what John and Preston said, our conversation at the beginning has changed. It's more of how are you, how's your family, what's going on, where you're at, but it goes back to the same business too. They really want to talk about, well, what's our real estate market looking like? When can they come down? Hopefully things will turn soon. So it's all very positive conversations that we're having on the phone, and the leads are still coming in, the inquiries are still coming in. So the business in a lot of ways is still the same.
That's great. I mean, and you see that people are calling and they're asking these questions, from afar and also locals. I mean, we can kind of turn a little bit. We've talked a little bit about real estate. I mean, going into like just straight up your mortgages. I mean, and Richard and Cole, you guys can touch on this, and people are calling you. We even have a question already down here that was like, right away, right now, everyone's hearing like, do you recommend refinancing now? Like, who do they talk to? Like, and these are questions people are asking, and you kind of try to figure out like what's going on in their world right now. What are you guys hearing?
Oh, I'll let you start off. Oh, okay. All right. There's no right answer to, if it makes sense to refinance, regardless of what's going on in the market today. We've got to take a look at the individual profile before we can make a recommendation. Right now, historically, we're in a great position, even with refi rates being a little bit higher currently than purchase rates, to make a refinance if they purchased when the market was extremely high with rates. So it's kind of a loaded question. They can certainly reach out to myself. They can reach out to Richard, and we can analyze their individual profile to see if it makes sense. But we can't just blanketly say right now that it makes sense to refinance because it's kind of a loaded question.
Yeah. And to piggyback on what John said earlier, people are refining for different reasons. I've done 4 cash out refis in the past 4 weeks because people are like, hey, maybe they have a business and they're worried about covering payroll. So they wanted to take out $50,000 in equity to make sure they can cover payroll or their overhead or expenses. So we're seeing that. I have another person who cashed out, did a cash out refi because he wants to be ready to buy an investment property because he's feeling like maybe there'll be some opportunity coming up. So that's definitely one. And then we still see the typical refis, the rate term refis. Maybe someone's trying to get rid of PMI. They're dropping their payment, maybe $100, $200, $300 a month by dropping off PMI and reducing their interest rate. So, I mean, if people are conscious about, their bills and their budget, this is obviously a good time to look into that. To go back to 2015 when I was working for another company and that company shut down, it was kind of similar like this. A lot of this is out of our control. I was making a 6-figure income and the company shut down, goes away. I have no job, no income. It really makes you take a step back and start looking at your budget. Where are you spending money that you don't need to be spending money on? A lot of people being quarantined at home, they're realizing like, hey, I don't need to be spending hundreds of dollars a week on stuff that's frivolous. So hopefully coming out of this will be a opportunity for people to be a little bit more fiscally responsible. I know it did for me. And sometimes it takes something like this to do that because a lot of people don't have retirement savings or a big savings account. So sometimes you got to look at the positive stuff that could come out of this, people being a little bit more fiscally responsible. But yeah, great time to refi for people who have high interest rates. But like Cole said, every situation is going to be different.
I can tell you what a lot of people are buying: fitness equipment. I tried to go online and buy some like weights, free weights, and 3 websites I checked out are sold out. So I'm like, I'll wait a month and a half and I'll get some really good deals on some weightlifting equipment.
Yeah, right now I think everyone's either getting really good shape or are going to be on the episode of like my 600-pound life. Like, I don't know what's going to happen here with me. I know that the pantry has been open and it's been bad, so I need to turn that around.
I didn't realize hiding from your kids in the pantry eating snacks was a real thing until last couple of weeks.
Sometimes that's the only place to hide.
Well, Richard's got them throughout his whole house. So.
Yeah, Jason.
I was actually going to ask Ken a question. I just want to kind of see what he was seeing in the way of, title searches being slowed down, things of that nature. What are you seeing out there?
Well, each county has a sort of different scenario, but Horry County, for instance, I just learned yesterday, my abstractor is now on a list to be allowed into the courthouse to check specific things that could not ordinarily be checked online, which is a great benefit for our clients and anyone looking to close, because luckily most title plants, if we use a policy from 1985 forward, we can do everything online. Anything in Horry County prior to 1985 has to be physically checked in-house at the courthouse. So but there's even additional coverage through Fidelity to address these unique situations. I had a client that has owned the property since 1965. So even though we couldn't check from 65 to 85, with my personal knowledge of the family, the title underwriters at Fidelity were making some exception to that. So every county is different. Horry County is ahead of the curve compared to a lot of other counties. We do e-filings. I had my first drive-by closing this morning where we actually met the client in the parking lot and signed and witnessed and notarized. They didn't want to come inside of the office. So, you just have to be, ready to do whatever it takes to make the deal close. So we had never done e-filing in my office until last week. And in a matter of 12 hours, we were set up for it and closing this huge deal that was going to really look bad on our operation if we didn't make it happen. So you just, like you said, John, you just have to be on top of your game and be ready to adapt and move forward. Now, Charleston County is a whole lot different. I mean, they don't even allow e-filing in Charleston County, of all places, at this point. So we have a huge closing down there. We're going to have to overnight the documents to the clerk there, and then they'll update and record. Well, our abstractor will update online, and then they'll record. So, if you got a deal and you want to make it happen, just don't sit back and say it can't work. Just go and make it happen.
That's great. You can just pivot and, readjust, and you'll be better on the end. Preston, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I have a question for Cole and Richard. I saw I think it was last night I read it, that FHA government loans are doing a deferral program. Have you heard anything about that? Or
doing a what?
Deferral program for payment deferrals for FHA?
I have not seen that. I have seen Fannie and Freddie.
Yeah.
And I'm being told, as of yesterday, 5 p.m., I haven't got any updates since then, that, I guess that Jenny Mae has not approved it fully yet.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's where all the govies go. But it's such a fluid market right now. There's so much news coming out of Washington. It very well could be the case. I'll take a look when we get off the call. Have you heard anything, Richard?
I was going to say the same. We can peek into it and then do a video later on that if it's untrue. There's so much misinformation going out on the internet that I feel like I'm fielding more calls and answering more things that aren't true than are true. But I wouldn't be surprised if stuff like that did come out, because there are a lot of people not working, or especially in the restaurant industry, or that can't work. So I mean, they're going to have to do something.
Yeah, probably the most value I can add to your question, Preston, is the fact that if you are someone who has been affected by the coronavirus and has been, laid off temporarily, and you are in fear of missing your payment, immediately reach out to your servicer and tell them what's going on. While there might not be a program, intact right now to help you, they'll at least have knowledge, and those notes will be held. So when you call and say, hey, now FHA is allowing a deferment program, they've already got the notes in place showing you were impacted, and maybe that'll improve the speediness, so to speak, of the servicer.
And I wanted to ask, Jason, go ahead.
No, I was just going to point out, I was on the phone with a client this morning, and they actually had already called Bank of America, and Bank of America had already deferred all of their payments until June. So they just made a call over the phone. I mean, again, I don't know FHA. I mean, I don't know, who was actually backing the loan, but he made one phone call. He said it took 10 minutes, and they actually deferred his payment until June.
Wow, that's awesome.
I think Kim's got something he wanted to pop in as well.
I think it's important for all our commercial clients just to remind them to pick up the phone and call their banking officer. I did that for a client, and there was an automatic deferment upon the signing of some paperwork for a 90-day deferment. So, don't be scared to pick up the phone, especially if it's a commercial type scenario through an in-house local bank or statewide bank, to make that request. I didn't have that luck on my primary mortgage. I was just balancing things out, making sure everything was okay. And I got a list of things that they needed to see before they'd even discuss it, which reminded me of actually trying to go through a refinance process. So, it'll be interesting to see how residential loans are handled going forward, for sure.
Go ahead, Preston.
Yeah, I just want to say, I know John's probably got a phone call here in the next, 5 or 10 minutes. You got to jump on. So if anybody has any questions for him while he's still here, I think he's got another probably 5 or so.
Or John, can you just give us your last bits of words of wisdom before we continue on here?
Sure. I think that I just go back to the basics. We're all in business. The heart chooses, the mind justifies, and so much though in business we think it's so much in the head. And I think what's pretty, and again, it's not a neat situation, but I think there's duality in everything. And I think it's really, look at this as an opportunity personally and professionally for all of us collectively to come back to the foundational principles in life and business that really matter. And the people that go out there today and truly from the space of the way we were all raised and the way we were all taught and know is for the people that that focus on what you control. And that's me, that's you, that's each and every one of us, everyone out there. Do the next right thing right and serve people first. Those are the people that I've watched evolve through things at a really, really high level and take the lessons that are here for us. That's the best I can leave y'all with.
That is great. Well, John, we really appreciate you jumping on, and we know it's early over there, so thank you for joining us, and you continue on spreading that gold that you have coming out.
Thanks so much, you guys. So good to meet y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right, well, since John's leaving us, let's pivot a little bit to construction. I know a lot of you guys all have something to do in the world of construction. So, I mean, what are we seeing on that side of the market, or what are your agents hearing? Anyone?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Preston, okay.
So as far as like construction, the houses that we have under construction, that labor force is still working, and they'll work until they're told they can't work, and they'll probably still show up to work after they're told they can't work. Just because, you got to think about that labor force. A lot of them are, week to week or month to month, whatever you want to call it. So, I think it's going to be very hard to stop that, the actual construction jobs going on. A majority of our custom contracts are higher price, so we haven't really seen much slowdown. We're still getting emails, we're still getting phone calls, we're still getting inquiries. So that side of our business is continuing on. Now with construction, a lot of the jobs we have in the office can be done from home. So as far as our staff is actually working remotely for the most part. Which, with technology now and, everything else that goes on in the office, a lot of that they can work from home, and that'll continue on. But yeah, we haven't really seen much here, but I think that's the Myrtle Beach market in general. Obviously some markets that are hit a lot harder are seeing a lot different things.
Jason, do you have anything you want to touch on that?
Yeah, no, actually, majority of the ones that I'm working on, they are new construction. They're homes that are under contract. That like yesterday, I actually met a client with a builder at the flooring store, taking all 6 feet away from each other, all the proper techniques. But we met in the flooring store, and we're expecting a contract on the house today. They wanted to tidy up some of the stuff, and the house is actually just in the framing stage. So and then additionally, I think they were talking about some of the things that they've been hearing through the industry, that because housing is considered an essential type of, it's an essential part of our, community. The way we live, you have to have a roof over your house. They're actually talking about, construction not even being stopped. There might be some on the commercial level, but from a residential standpoint, everything that, the builder was hearing, everything that the people at the flooring store, all of that is an essential, is considered essential work. So, they're not anticipating, to get that shutdown order.
Yeah, if you look at—
Well, that's great to hear. I have plenty of friends that are all in construction, or in their houses are in construction right now, and they're hoping that everything's going to continue on. Rainbow, you had something?
I was just gonna say, we've had at Living Dunes, people calling us saying, can we get their houses done quicker so they can get in now? So it's kind of what Preston and Jason were saying. I mean, everything's been moving forward out there, and we actually have 4 closings this month, and we're wrapping some of those up this week. And it's everything's been going on. I mean, there's been some challenges, of course, but for the most part, it's been a pretty smooth process right now on the construction side.
That's awesome to hear that people are, you know, still moving forward and getting done. And I would imagine I would want to be in a nice, fresh, new, clean house right now as well. Anyone else want to touch on, you know, kind of construction, what they're seeing? Yeah, Jason.
But it wasn't really towards new construction, but, you know, just hitting on what you said, I pulled some numbers. I'm not the statistician that Preston is. You know, I know he's a big time numbers guy, but, you know, I do kind of watch my market and what's going on. But from March 17th forward, there's actually been 181 properties that have closed, which obviously those were more than likely under contract before a lot of this happened. Average sale price was about $305,000. 7 of those were over $1 million. 56 were over 300,000. But from that point forward, March 17th forward, 381 properties have been listed. 254 properties have gone under contract since March 17th. So, you know, people are still out there buying. Of those 254 under contract, 64 are over 300,000, and 4 of them were actually over $1 million. So, you know, and that's the residential market. The condo market's drastically different. You know, there have only been 96 closings since March 17th. We've had 209 new listings since March 17th. We've only had 9 go under contract since March 17th. So you can kind of see where the focus is. It's going to be on the primary, the new construction, the things of that nature. Go ahead, Preston.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I read, I shared it this morning in a group I'm in. It's actually, I read a report from Goldman Sachs about, you know, what's going on and the impact it's going to have on the economy. And really what they're seeing and what they're saying is the big numbers we're going to see in Q2, which is basically going to be like a negative 24% on GDP, which is unheard of. It's 2.5 times worse than any other time in history since it's been recorded. So, you know, we're really going to see the impact. But what was neat about the report, the upside was, you know, the third quarter of this year, it'll go up to 10% and then 12%. So the readings, you know, although it'll go down drastically, the upswing will be that much faster. And, you know, in talking to Rainbow and some of the people we've talked to, they're pausing right now, but some of the conversations they're having, like, yeah, we're not going to buy right now, but once this is over, this gives us more reason to get out of these populated cities and to move to coastal regions that, you know, we can enjoy a quarantine. Because, you know, right now in New York and these larger cities, I mean, there's, you know, it's not where they want to be. So I think that's going to kind of push people to make those moves a lot sooner and a lot faster once we get to the peak and start seeing this to come back down. And I know Rainbow can touch on that as well, because she, you know, in the ISA team have a lot of those phone calls. I mean, they make thousands of phone calls a month to potential clients.
Oh yeah, we are. You're right, Preston. It's exactly the conversations we're having. I mean, there's more of a need of wanting to move now versus wait. We've had several of those conversations. So, which, you know, I mean, of course, it makes the market down here. I think as soon as it starts to turn, it's really, we're going to have a lot of people. I mean, they're planning. They're even like saying June, July, or they're going ahead and planning for the fall to come. And there's definitely more of an urgency than there was before.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on what Rainbow said. Is like we might not be seeing as many go under contract, but we're still getting a ton of applications. People still want to get pre-qualified. They're still preparing for when this turns in a month, 2 months, 3 months to be ready to buy. So I feel like any lull we have in this profession will get made up with a super busy back end, a busy third quarter or fourth quarter, because I mean, our market's so different. People are still retiring from up north. They're selling their properties that are twice the price as what they're buying down here. You know, they get so much value. The cost of living here is so cheap comparatively. So, I mean, we have a special market that, you know, yeah, we're going to have a little lull with what's going on, but we'll definitely pick it right back up, I believe.
Yeah. And additionally to that, I read an article from the the CEO of Lennar, and obviously they're a national builder. And what they're saying is foot traffic is way down the last 2 weeks, but contracts are not. So they're seeing a much higher conversion rate. And that's something to be said. If somebody's willing to go out and look at a property right now, they're probably pretty serious about buying. They're not window shopping at this point. And that's basically what the Lennar CEO was saying.
Yeah, I would imagine that they have their time. Go ahead. I was going to say, I imagine that people have more time now to do their research ahead of time and look through the plans, look through what they're looking for, and then go out and make that one decision instead of just constantly delaying the process and looking at everything. What were you going to say, Preston?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go too deep in numbers because I could sit around and talk about them for an hour and get really nerdy. So I'll just briefly touch on that. I mean, I was looking at the numbers this morning, like over the last 30 days, our CRG websites have had 70,000 visits. This time last year, we're about 60,000 visits. Over the past 7 days, the visits are down 10%, but you're only talking a couple hundred. So people are still searching, people are still active. Our conversion rates are still around the same as far as registering to search. So, people are still looking. They're just, and over the next weeks, I mean, that will probably continue to go up. I think the percentage down will spike back up because more people be at home. So, those are some of the things I'm focused on. And, Rainbow could talk about that as well. I mean, she's still got people, 50, 60 registrations a day where people are still coming on and looking.
And it's the same thing that Richard said. The people that are coming on and that we have the conversations with, they're serious. They're great conversations. They're people that are just waiting for maybe their home to sell or be able to sell, and then they're buying. I mean, they're buyers, which is great.
And just to touch on Preston, because I knew he was going to come up with his web traffic statistics. So actually, I pulled mine this morning before we got on. But my web traffic is actually up 10% over where it was last year. But interestingly, my Matterport tours, they're the 4D tours where you can actually physically walk through the property. They're up 25%. So people are looking. They're ready. They're going to be ready to go. They're just not ready to commit to anything right now with all the uncertainty. But I mean, I've never had a deviation more than 3 or 4% on those Matterport tours. But to see it up 25% was it was pretty encouraging. Either they got nothing to do or they're looking for houses.
Well, that's a good point, though, Ellis, on that is the marketing these days. If someone's just taking pictures of a house versus someone who's doing video tours or Matterports, I mean, you're going to get a little bit more traction when you feel like you're at the house or in the house versus just photos.
For sure.
Well, and Richard, that touches another thing. So we have been offering to our clients, and a lot of our agents have sent out the messages to their databases. They'll do virtual tours, they'll FaceTime, and we're being respectful as far as going into people's homes. If it's occupied, it's up to the seller. But we've also had more listings, and I know we touched on this earlier, actually come on in the last week too. People are thinking about, and I think as soon as things turn and get better, we're going to see even more people wanting to list. And there's going to be, I think, a great buyer's market there for it too. But back to your point, the virtual tour, the going out to the sites and homes and doing FaceTime, that kind of stuff is definitely what people have been wanting to do. And they may not be able to be here, but they're still looking. And so they'll do that and purchase that way.
For sure.
Good.
Yeah, and the good thing about it, most real estate lawyers in our community are set up to work from home just like everyone else is. So there shouldn't be any delay at all from the actually recording and disbursement scenario. So that's a real positive for Horry County as well.
For sure. Just like you were saying, Preston, is people that are not wanting to be quarantined in these larger cities and wanting to get down and enjoy it. If you didn't really love your house before this, you're going to really hate it now because you have been able to be in it and pick it apart piece by piece and know exactly what you're looking for. What were you going to say, Rainbow?
Oh, nothing. I was going to quickly say that thank you to Ken and all the attorneys out there because they did adjust very quickly along with the county because there was concerns, of course, when all this started, and to be able to have an answer and let everybody know that no closings are happening, they're recording, it's okay. How it's being done has changed, but we're able to move forward, which has really been a big deal and very important.
It's funny that certain communities are really progressive, states are progressive about these online notaries. South Carolina had introduced a bill. It's stuck, I guess, in the Senate. No, I think it passed the Senate and is stuck in the House. And since they're not meeting, they can't address it. But that is, I think, regardless of whether Corona hits us and hurts us, that's real positive going forward, because it does create a new technology for law, which is normally behind the 2 or 3 year curve. So it's interesting to see that South Carolina has jumped out, even though they're a little late at it. Once they get back in session, I don't believe there'll be any problem moving forward on remote notarization. So that'll be a big plus.
Yeah, that's great. And Amy, go ahead, Cole.
Sorry, Stephanie. Ken, I just got a text question. Someone wants to know, if it's a mail away, can we email the package to a local notary where the buyer lives?
Yeah, unless they're trying to do that in South Carolina. As you know, in South Carolina, you have to have it under the direct supervision of a lawyer. We get calls all the time from lenders that want to send clients here just to notarize documents, and that's not allowed here. But we do a tremendous amount of closings, probably 75% of our closings. We never see the client because it is a mail away. So we do email documents. They print them. At this point, though, they have to be physically notarized. We give them a return label. They go to UPS or FedEx and they put it in the box and send it back immediately. So yeah, that's definitely
So you can email it to them, but they have to physically mail it back.
They have to print it. There's no DocuSign on deeds, notes, and mortgages. Everything has to be to file in South Carolina as the law stands right now. It has to be an original signature with an original notary. Now that, as I say, may change under the new bill, but right now you can email it to New York. They can print it, go to their notary, have it properly witnessed, and send it back, and everything's good.
Very good.
The great question. Thanks, Cole.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we've been about 40 minutes now and talking people's ear off, and I want to wrap it up a little bit, but I wanted to give each of you a moment if you want to, kind of what your thoughts are, or if you have another comment or insight to our area of, kind of when we're going to come out of this and how we are living through it, and, how much stronger we're going to be on the other side.
Yeah, I'll kick it off if you don't mind. I'll kick it off there, Mr. Preston, if you don't mind. Well, I will say, in regards to mortgages, if you're wanting to buy a house, I wouldn't wait, because you don't want to lose that house. If you found the dream house, don't hesitate because of what's going on. This is going to pass. So if I'm a buyer, I'm going to take action on that house, kind of regardless if I really want the house. Now, if I'm doing a refinance, like Cole said, you got to reach out to a lender, preferably us, and see if it makes sense for your situation. Are you going to save enough money? Is it going to financially make sense for you? And if so, then yeah, go ahead and refinance your house. From a personal standpoint, I think a lot of times this whole commotion that's going on allows people to kind of take a step back and reprioritize. I think for a lot of people, it's helping them get into fitness a little bit more. It's helping them spend more time with their kids and be more present with their kids, which I think is probably the best thing that's coming out of this. Hopefully it will affect people financially, because like I said earlier, we see people's finances on a daily basis when we're doing their mortgages, and there's not a lot of people with a ton of money stacked in the bank ready for stuff like this. So hopefully this will allow people to start thinking about having a 6 to 12 month emergency fund and stuff like that. So I try to tell people, look at what positive stuff can come out of this. If you can come out better fiscally responsible, if you can come out, a better parent, better spouse, maybe. I don't know, for some people that may have the opposite effect, being quarantined so much. But, look, what can we do positive? How can we come out of this with a positive thing? That's what I think people should really be focused on, because this is temporary. Who knows how bad it will get, but it is temporary.
And just to touch on, I'll just finish up. I'll just touch on what Richard said. I think the biggest thing is that, if you are a buyer, don't confuse this with 2008, 2009, and sit around and wait on a piece of property thinking the market's going to drop 25, 30%. You're going to get a deal on a house of your dreams. if there is a drop, it's going to be very little and it's going to be very short. I think, looking at the article, that Preston posted, I don't know if you've seen it, but I mean, it is, 100% spot on. I mean, by the time, the fall swings back around, this market most likely is going to be kicking back in, and the house that you were trying to wait on is now going to be more expensive than trying to hedge your bet and wait on it to drop down because of this.
Yeah, and really what I wanted to say before Richard got in front of me was I just want to thank everybody for coming. I'm lucky that, all these great people that have joined us today, I could call them friends as well, which is more important than anything to me. So, I just want to thank all of you for coming on. And if anybody else has anything else to say, go ahead. But that's really what I want to say.
Yeah, thanks, Preston. The only thing I'm telling the consumer is just, be as safe as you think you need to be. That's the most important thing. If you want to, sit in your house for 60 days to stay safe, do that. But try to prepare for the unknown. That's all we can do at this point. And Richard hit it nail on the head. This is going to be temporary. It's not a permanent thing. But it is going to change how we interact as a society for a long time. Not sure I'm going to be shaking too many people's hands in the near future. And that's one thing that's probably going to come out of this. But just try to stay positive. Things are going to get better. And that's all I can pass on.
Yeah. So I can't hug you anymore, Cole?
No more hugs on Friday.
I think
Rainbow, Ken, do you have a few last minute notes?
Yeah, I was gonna say the other thing is we are here. Everybody might be working remotely, but we are here to answer questions, to help in any way we can too. So, I just think that's important to know that everybody is still working, just in a different atmosphere right now. And we'd love to answer any kind of questions and help anyone that we can.
Same for us. We're here, we're working. We may not be in the physical plant every day, all day like we have in the past, but we're all accessible. So any legal questions, we're more than happy to address. And thanks for the opportunity to participate.
All right, well, again, I just want to thank all of you guys for hopping on here and sharing your knowledge, and thank everyone who is viewing and reviewing this. There's so many great topics and points that you guys made that I think that will really impact everyone in our lives. And Richard, I really enjoy what you say was it's temporary. And we all know this, but it's hard when you're in the thick of it to know that we will come out and we will be stronger. So I just want to thank everyone again. Make sure that you follow everyone on their social media channels, including Revolution Mortgage. We are your Carolina mortgage team. And until next time, we'll just say, stay safe and healthy, stay 6 feet away. And remember, 2 happy birthdays when you're washing your hands. So you guys have a great Thursday. I hope you all stay safe. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.